Back live with you tonight, John in Focus, and thanks for staying on. Corruption, rolling power cuts, illegal migration, and the 2024 elections. That is what will dominate Cosatu's National Congress, which will take place next week. Now, Cosatu President Zingiswa Losi is heading to the 14th elective event without her base, the SA Transport and Allied Workers Union, which isn't a good look for her, I suppose, particularly because she is seeking to get back into that space. Now, independent analyst Solly Moeng joins us now to unpack this a little bit further. Solly, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight here on In Focus. Before we get into the actual current leadership and the challenges that they're facing, one individual in the country is apparently quite nervous about going to show face at the Cosatu Congress, and that individual is President Cyril Ramaphosa. Why is the president not in good terms with Labour? I mean, he's a unionist himself.
Well, look, Cosatu is part of the governing or misgoverning, I like to say, tripartite alliance. And it's not just the ANC that's divided into half, into two main halves. One supporting Ramaphosa, the other are not. So he doesn't know how many people are going to be there who don't stand with him, who are going to stand up and shout and sing songs that he doesn't want to hear. It's normal that, I've always said that if Ramaphosa has to walk looking over his shoulders, it's not in the broader South Africa, it's within the corridors of the tripartite alliance. So this is just indicative of it. But also Cosatu likes to have its bread and its cake and eat it. And the world doesn't work that way. It is part of the governing tripartite alliance. Had Cosatu really wanted to see change in South Africa years ago, it could have done so. But it doesn't do so because it's happy to have its candidates in the National Assembly, having bread on one side and pretending to be working for the workers. Many workers are very disappointed in Cosatu's achievements over the recent years.
Are we to believe them when they say that the dominating conversation is not going to be about whether or not they will endorse any of the presidential candidates? In fact, they are saying they will not be endorsing all of them, Zweli Mkhize and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, or President Cyril Ramaphosa. Is that an empty threat? And they are saying much of the conversation will be around dumping the ANC. Will that ever happen?
Cosatu has been saying that since the days of Solly Moeng, okay? They've been making the threats over and over again. If you think about it, the ANC didn't come to power on its own. They had a whole lot of support, people who didn't have a lot of other things in common, but who said we don't want a party in common. But it stayed in power because the South African Communist Party, Cosatu, have stood with it. Had these two parties decided, you know what, we're tired of the ANC, we're going to support somebody else, they would have made change long ago. So I think Cosatu likes to do this, especially now as the ANC heads towards its next electoral conference. They have to make these blunt threats they've made over and over, and they actually tire and they are boring. They just like to take the media space. They have the power to act. They haven't acted. They have watched South Africa fall to its knees over these years because they've had their own people, especially their leader, Blazing Zimande, former leader it is now, sitting in parliament, making all sorts of silly statements many times. He's the one at one point who proposed that we should imprison people who criticize the President Zuma. People forget that.
Let's talk then about the race within the Confederation itself. I mean, you've just mentioned Zweli Mkhize. There are some who are saying Begin Chali, for example, has been outshined by the likes of Zweli Mkhize, who are now out of the Confederation, and his hopes of getting back into that position are quite slim.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Zweli Mkhize wants to return to Cosatu. I doubt that he wants. I think he's quite happy where he's at now, and he doesn't have the burden of having to play double. I think he's now supposedly a pure Labour leader, as it were. Coming into Cosatu means that you have to be supportive of keeping the ANC in power and also criticizing it from time to time. So, Charlie has not been the most brilliant leader, I think, in the past. He has not gathered around himself the kind of cloud that Zweli Mkhize had over the years. But I don't see Zweli Mkhize returning to Cosatu. I'm not saying never. You never say never in politics, but I doubt he would want to do that.
Zingiswa Losi, how has she done? I mean, she's coming in limping there without some of the support that she has enjoyed in the previous conference when she was coming in.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm saying Zingiswa Losi, the president, how has she performed in that portfolio?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm saying Zingiswa Losi, how has she performed?
She has been the first woman leader in the position, and she has managed to, I think that she's a Cosatu person, first of all. She has managed to create a voice around herself, to attract people around her voice. Is it enough? But has it done that for Labour? Has it done it for South Africa? I think that either way, whoever leads Cosatu has to decide whether they're leading for South Africa and for the Labour, for workers, or just for workers. So far, the Labour people, including the current leader, they have not played sufficiently to save South Africa. They have even made demands. They've been making demands for the workers, it is those who are members of Cosatu, irrespective of what the state of the finances are in the country. So glory is within Cosatu. It's not in the broader South Africa. There's not sufficient admiration for her, if you want, for Losi in the broader South African community. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, others are saying now is the time to revive the Labour movement. In fact, it's a time for the rise of a new movement, a democratic movement based on the needs of the working class, a worker-controlled movement, independent of the politics of the ANC. Is that a fallacy? Is it just a dream?
Yeah, that would be good. Look, it would be good to have labor unions that are not married or attached to the hip to any political party, especially the political party in office, because we've seen now how bad it is for the rest of the country. Look, the labor union, wherever it is, it's understandable that its primary interest is to support and to push the rights of workers. But in a country like South Africa that has gone through the history it has, especially even over the past 28 years, labor unions must be able to say what is best for South Africa, for the producer. Because the members come from society. They are mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and children out there in the society. So they have to, at some point, say, how do we place public interest alongside workers' interest? And I think so far they have failed because they're too attached to the misgoverning political party.
Solly Moeng, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. Of course, that Congress is taking place this week, and we'll be bringing more analysis coming out from there.